Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to start with a question that I know many of you are wrestling with. Should I do a master's in management, an MBA, or a master's in finance? And more importantly, what is the right time? It's about investing 2 years of your life and significant money into something that will shape your career for the next decade. The problem is there's so much of information out there. What you really need is insight from someone who sees this from the inside. So that's exactly who we have with us today. I'd like to introduce Ms. Seema Parakkat. She's the country manager for India at Singapore Management University's Lee Kong Chiang School of Business. Seema has over 12 years of experience, and we have invited her today to share her insights on the master's and the MBA programs at SMU. So, by the end of the session, you'll have clarity on timing, on which program fits your goals, and how to think about the return on investment in today's changing job market. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Seema Parakkat. Seema, over to you.
Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Yeah, sounds great. First of all, I just want to thank you for having me here, Shruti. It's always a pleasure. I love how we have such deep conversations about what's really best for the candidates, and I just want to start from that place of helping people understand that my aim is to make sure that there are different paths you can take, but the idea is to understand how you can take a very well informed decision by really evaluating all of the choices that you have, because a lot of times I've seen that people are not really as aware of the kind of programs and the opportunities that really lie with a place like Singapore, and especially a uni like a Singapore Management University's LKCSB. So I'd like to actually start with the Singapore as a destination. I mean, obviously it's the closest to home, which is like one of the most attractive things. And I think when anyone, is asked about Singapore, the first thing that comes to their minds is it's modern, it's efficient, it has got a clean and urban environment. But it's also important to note that it's also the global financial hub or the global business hub. In fact, and this has been across the years, that Singapore has been ranked in top three in the IMD World Competitiveness Ranking, and this is in this time it's around number two. This has a lot of significance, right? Because it attracts people from different places across banking, fintech, or even consulting and sustainability sector. For students, what does this really mean is people come in with the idea of, like, let's say internship opportunities or career outcomes and other aspects. This literally means that you have such diverse areas in which you could essentially work in, diverse areas that you could go into, and all of these opportunities stay open with a place like Singapore. The I think another aspect, this is a question that I get asked a lot about, why not, like, let's say other countries or even some European countries versus SMU. Like, why should we think about Singapore as a destination, or why should we think about SMU? I think it also has a lot to do with language, because when you think about opportunities, language has a very big part to play in it. Because when you look at internship opportunities, or whether you look at a work opportunity also, if you look at Singapore, because there's a lot of multicultural influence, as well as people coming in from all walks of life. Our medium of instruction is in English. Our medium of communication, business, everyday business, and everything is in English itself. So there's no trouble in terms of looking for opportunities, or even like for internship opportunities and others, or networking for that, because the whole point, or one of the key features of whether it be an MBA program or whether it be any other master's program, the idea is also to build that strong industry connect. So networking doesn't essentially have to be like an MBA networking where you're meeting all industry professionals. It could also be finding the right kind of connects, even let's say masters in finance or quantitative finance or applied finance, the partners that the uni is actually working with. So those kind of opportunities and interactions or industry interactions are quite made possible because of this, right? And I think the last point that I just want to actually quickly say, I feel that this is little less spoken about, and little less highlighted, especially when people think about an international education, and that's the safety. Very curiously, Singapore is ranked second in the Gallup Law and Order Index, which essentially means that people, especially women or anybody for that matter, can be completely safe and not have to worry about their personal safety when they are looking at opportunities or interactions or networking or whatever said and done. So I think people often look at it the last. I feel this has to be one of the biggest criterias also when thinking about an international education or moving outside to any other country for that matter. So, having said that, let's talk a bit about why. I'm just trying to move the slide. Okay, wait. Back. Now, these are some of the less known facts. I always say that, if you think you're ready to study in one of the top B schools, the top 1% of the B schools globally, then, you're at the right platform. You're in the right session and listening to the right kind of conversations. Again, a little lesser known fact, we're the only university in Singapore which is Triple Crown accredited. I know that this is not a very common fact for, known fact. Just like you have your AICTE in India, the same way globally, there's AACSB, which looks at the academic rigor of right, and AMBA, which looks at the MBA and the MIM programs and all the business school, the B school programs, and you have the EQUIS, which looks at the internationalization and the impact. And only 141 schools globally have a Triple Crown accreditation, and that's saying a lot for the quality as well. And I get this question about rankings also, because obviously we are with respect to finance, we are first in Asia and 29th globally, and with respect to all the management programs, we are 41st ranking globally, and fifth in Asia, and of course third in Asia, and 27th worldwide for our executive MBA programs as well. So it kind of like checks a lot of list. And one additional thing I want to talk about while talking about our inception is also that we are a public university, because a lot of people assume that we are a private uni, but we are actually a public university. And it's actually modeled, when we started, it was started in partnership with Wharton and was modeled after Wharton also. And this has a significance because our pedagogy is very interactive. It's one, and I always say this, don't believe me, I come from the school, but if you look on the web, you see any place, you'd find that everybody talks about how much SMU makes candidates industry ready. Our aim is to make sure that we equip you with all the right tools. And I have a personal quote for this. I say that, we help you find your voice. And that's what I've experienced after having spoken to, students and professors and even the people, my other colleagues who work at SMU, that you are going to be so much in discussion. Your classroom is not going to be a one-way street. You're going to actually talk to have debates, have discussions, not just with your peers, but with your professors also. The classroom is a very dynamic place and a lot of interactive learning, which I will talk about later. And I think another key feature is our industry connections. We are connected with over 3,000 businesses, not just in Singapore, but across the ASEAN region and the global region also. And it's kind of reflected in our programs, the strong industry connect. Um, One last thing about the location itself, and this also has a lot to do with the industry involvement, right? A lot of oftentimes, Shruti, people say that, hey, you know what? I know that you are located in this center of the city, and how does it really matter? I think what matters is if you look at the CBD, which is your central business district, that's where your internships and jobs are. If you look at like an Orchard Road area or a Marina Bay or a City Hall, these are places where, so as I said, most of the programs have got like almost all the programs have got internship integrated into it. These are the places you'll work at, and these are like a walking distance away from the SMU campuses. So whether you're doing an MBA program also or any other master's program as well, everybody you want to network with, everybody you want to connect with is nearby. It does make a difference, guys. You're staying in India. You know how much of a distance actually makes a difference, isn't it? Tell me about it. But um, in terms of classroom experience, and this is some of the points that I'm talking about are very universal in nature across the various what do you call programs. One is our in great the interaction in the classroom. We really are very proud of a pedagogy which is, as I said, more interactive in nature. We have amazing faculty, and this is not just from a place of, they have the expertise, but they are usually people who are still industry practicing. They already practitioners in the industry, so they give you a wealth of information and mentorship from that perspective also. And one thing, the soft skills which I spoke about, you get your voice. A lot of times we find it so difficult to communicate what we think about. Even in a business setting, we are, even if we have opinions, we often don't share them. I'm sure, like, I didn't through the chat, guys, I'm sure relate to this, where in your organizations also, you have a thought process about something, you have an idea about something, you're often hesitant about actually sharing that information or putting your idea in the right manner across. And that's something I can safely say is an experience or a learning that you will definitely gain at SMU, because the pedagogy is shaped that way. And of course, the ASEAN perspective is definitely ingrained. We have in-house people who actually bring in the case studies from industry practitioners as well, again because we have such strong connect with the live industries. And the last one, I kept this action based learning for the last, because I think this is one of the most impactful things, like whether it be experiential learning, that you get in a MIM program, whether it be the venture building experience that you get in a MEI or an MBA program, or hands-on learning that you get on various projects. A lot of times you're not going to be working on the same with the same people on the same projects. You're going to have to like really interact with different people. All of this really gives you an idea about how the real workplace functions, how the real industry is going to function much better than what you might, and how to actually fit in much better than you already have, and how to, as what it's supposed to do, accelerate your path, right? Now, moving ahead, I know a bit of a lag when I keep clicking and moving ahead. And last part of the overall, each of the program, there's a lot of opportunity for global exposure, whether it be exchange programs, there's overseas the overall, there's overseas immersions, there's business study missions, and obviously different international competitions that take place as well. So this is varied across the different programs, but a lot of opportunities are there across each one of them. Now, just a quick overview. What I will do now is just, quickly go through the various programs and maybe talk a little bit about some of the highlights, and how does the class look like, as well as what kind of things can you pivot to, from these programs, and of course the work experience that's actually required, right? You would see that I've actually listed it out according to the work experience. On the left side, you can see the post experience. MBA actually requires a minimum of 2 years. EMBA requires a rich experience of about professional experience of about 10 years, a minimum. And MWM is Masters in Wealth Management, which requires a work experience of 2 years, or you should have cleared your CFA level one. And Masters in Entrepreneurship and Innovation is 1 to 5 years. But if you have like very strong entrepreneurial experience, earlier, that would also be taken into consideration. And of course, the pre-experience program, you have the Masters in Management, Masters in Applied Finance, and Masters in Quantitative Finance. I could see some people say that, they're interested in applied finance and quantitative finance as well. I will be sure to kind of like, pause a little more on those. Quickly, I know this is the most attractive program everywhere because this is the only thing that we are aware of. And that's what I'm here to correct also, because there are other programs where people, you might really align towards, right? So when you look at some of the things in terms of the course, what does it actually cover? it does incorporate all of the new age industry experiences and learning. For instance, whether it be AI, whether it be digital transformation or business analytics, it's not taught separately, but it is integrated into the different aspects of management that you would need to actually learn as well. All right, so you have various themes covering all of these things. You have an option to specialize. For instance, we have four tracks in which you can specialize. One is communications, the other one is entrepreneurship, the other one is finance, and then human capital. But I literally got asked this question, right? I mean, because in India we come in with a mindset of, oh, MBA has to be in this particular track, or you can only choose that. So the core modules get covered in the first two terms, and you have the option of deciding how you want to actually go about it, when, because all of these come in electives. So there are 10 electives in the program, and you can decide, how you want to do. You want to do a mix and match, or to get a more general management experience, or do you want to go for a specialization in one of those things? So that choice is actually up to you, but you have sufficient time to kind of like decide that. I've already talked about the industry focus. Internship is mandatory, and you will be doing that once you complete your first two terms. A very interesting part of this one is when you do your internships in the morning, you will be start doing your electives in the evening, and you will be doing it with the part timers. And part timers are people who are already doing their who are already working in Singapore, and there would be Singaporean nationals as well. So this actually broadens your prospect of networking a lot further. And of course, the global exchange opportunities are there. There's something known as overseas immersion program. I think I've got it on my next slide, but I'll address that also. And then, of course, I think if you talk about Singapore and not talk about sustainability, then that's like a huge gap, isn't it? We are big on sustainability and ESG and the Asian market insights, and it is incorporated through our modules as well. Um, okay, I'm kind of I've covered this, but I just want to actually talk about two main aspects here: the alumni lifelong learning. Once you complete your program, also, you would be able to take one free elective per year, which has got an online access, and that's for your entire life, right? So this is, one of the major advantages when you get also. You have two intakes, which is the Jan intake and the August intake. Jan intake is still going on. It will end in October end, and the August intake will, commence from like September onwards to May. So that's what the application window really looks like. And in terms of scholarship, there are scholarship opportunities. And we are very transparent in that. There are three tiers in which the scholarship happen for the MBA program. It's like 7,000, 14,000, and 21,000. Automatically, you're considered for the merit-based scholarship, which is like academic excellence and global opportunities. Some of the other scholarships, which I'll discuss later, for that you need to submit a separate essay. Moving forward, I'm just okay. The class mix, you can see we have 60% international students, so we have a very strong, diverse classroom, I would say, and we're very particular about that to make sure that you have a classroom filled with people from different regions. You're going to see people from India, you're going to see people from China, the other ASEAN countries, the Singaporean nationals. So you do get best of a lot of worlds, and your peer learning is going to be very strong. Our cohort is very small, as you can see, and on an average, it's 6 years of work experience, but our minimum years is 2 years. And even though the average GMAT is 650, and that's on the older version, ideally you would be looking at about 80th percentile and above, which would be maybe a 625 and above on the GMAT exam. So, just to give you now, quick touch on the overseas immersion program. So, our fees, I would actually address this in the end, but it's about 81,000 SGD, which would be about 55 lakhs in Indian rupees. Trust me, guys, that's very, for an international experience with all of this, it's at par with some of the Indian schools, I would say. Uh, we have an overseas immersion program where in the term three, you would go to another ASEAN country. You'll interact with business leaders, and you'll also interact with another, partner schools, MBA cohort. So this is another networking opportunity, and this is covered in the tuition fee, by the way. All of it, your travel and everything is taken care. On the other hand, you have an opportunity to go for overseas exchange. This is we have, as you can see, the list of universities are huge. This is an optional one. It's not like a mandatory part of the program. Overseas immersion is a mandatory part of the program. But if you are interested in overseas exchange, you are, open to actually apply for that. And internship part, one quick thing, you can either do the intern. So I got a lot of questions about entrepreneurship, right? So obviously there's an entrepreneurship track. Besides that, if you're somebody really focused on entrepreneurship, instead of doing the internship, you can also thinking about doing a venture creation project as well. So that's a flexibility that's really open to you. Part time, I'm not addressing because for international candidates, you would be doing the full time in order for you to actually get a pass, right? And because Shruti, we spoke about actually addressing which streams that the candidates, sorry, essentially get, that is very diverse. You know, you have consulting, technology, finance, the fields, and the whole point of an MBA program is that you either are looking to career, or you are kind of like looking to actually. I'm again keep taking address wealth management. Again, I always talked about programs of the, you also have the SMU universities admission test. That's an option to consider. With the MWM program, that I mean, we one, it's, I think it's a very interesting field, in the recent times to actually get into. We cover the core competencies of the Institute of Banking and Finance in Singapore, which is quite high bar. You can actually apply for the IBF certification. You complete this course, and plus cover the standard advice as well as also beyond uh, intense. But when you look at the programs, a bit of big, yeah, I mean, it actually comes back. Um, there is, there are five modules that are, as I said, very focused on wealth management, either for their family clients. Um, pick up okay. You have five, okay, yeah, awesome. Study modules. If you can see the four modules,
Seema, we were not able to hear you very properly in the last few slides. I think we can. What's wrong? Let me put off my.
You can see us the like last year, the same case pattern again. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
So did you hear the part when I spoke about the fourth module? Okay, so
No, we
I'll
missed
just
on the
quickly.
fourth module. Yeah.
Okay, the fourth module, you're actually having an international experience. The last time, like you, one of it is at St. Gallen. It's a 6-day program that covers the European banking, wealth planning, family business, and family offices, and cross banking solutions. And the other one, it was at Wharton last time, but then it can actually change depending upon how the global scenario actually is. So it's truly an international experience, which I was really talking about, right? The class profile actually looks like this. There's 10 nationalities on an average is 10 years of work experience. But as I said, you could have 2 years of work experience and or a CFA level one. Your intent and your aspiration must be pretty clear as to why you want to get into it, because it's such a specialized area as well. There's a reason why SMU is called a specialist university, isn't it? And of course, the profiles that it comes from is like maybe a private bank or a family business or a family office, as I've mentioned, or people who are from private bank, they want to actually pivot into wealth management for high net worth individuals. So this is something that you normally see also. Okay, gonna try it next slide. Yep, it's working perfectly fine. So these are some couple of like industry areas there where people actually move to. I'm not like work wise, so I've not actually added the exact roles, but you'd be able to see the kind of industries that whether it be audit or whether it be financial services or like asset or investment management, technology, and a lot of other areas as well. Let me try moving next. Okay, here's now we're going to start with the the ones that do not need an experience. Now, masters in management is so if you have like maybe no experience or you have less than 3 years of work experience, this is a great program to actually explore because it when you think about masters in management, it's kind of like a launch pad, a career launch pad to really get to a place. So that I always like to visualize it this way. You're here with experience when you do an MBA program, and you're here when you do fresh graduate or an early experienced professional, and you're doing a master's in management program. You are pivoting faster, you're choosing not to work, instead you get your push earlier, but eventually you both are going to be at the same place after many years. So like when you catch up on the years of work experience, if somebody who does an MBA versus an MIM program, you're just going to catch up on the years of experience and get to the same place as well. You already have that knowledge, you're just building it faster, and going to get the experience that people who already have the MBA programs little later. The SMU MIM program is one of the most amazing. You're going to build your business fundamentals. You have options of pivoting to any industry, and this is great if you don't have things figured out, because this really gives you the opportunity to explore different things. Some of the key highlights of the program is the SMUX, which is the experiential learning part of it, where you work with businesses to solve real world problems. And SMUXO is if you're going to overseas, and then you might go into another country, ASEAN country, and work with a company to actually solve one of their business problems as well. So you're really applying yourself. You're not just learning theoretically, but you're really applying, and even in a MIM program, right? So the global exposure is there, practical learning is there, and this is also Jan intake as well as the August intake is available. You have an option to specialize in tracks. So there are four electives for the MIM programs. This is an 18-month program. The MBA program is a 15-month program with an option of finishing it sooner in 10 months. In this program, so either you have your general your modules, the general electives. Then, if you want to pivot into marketing, you can choose the four electives from marketing or operations or finance or sustainability, or you can choose to mix it up also. That the flexibility is completely in your hands as to how you want to actually do that. I've already spoken about the overseas, the experiential learning program as well as the without the overseas. But there are also opportunities for you to go ahead with the exchange programs as well. Some of our partners are amazing. Like you have the LBS, you have HK, UST, IE Business School, Queen's University, and more. And this is a list that is very dynamic and keeps getting added also. Um, and again, the MIM class profile, the cohort is slightly greater, but you will find that the class sizes are usually smaller for all of the programs. Like, we try to have a smaller class size and a lot of interaction. So 94% are the international students, and you have 23 nationalities. And you can see that it's on an average less than 1 year of work experience and 25 years on an average of age. Again, 660 is the average GMAT, kind of just like goes to showcase the kind of quality standards that we hold. But as I said, our minimum requirement is, I would say, about 80 percentile and above. The reason I'm saying 80 percentile is if you do have an older GMAT also, this is the bar that you need to probably kind of look at when you look at the score. In terms of the GRE, I saw that somebody asked me about the GRE score, and across everything, it's the same for us. You need to have a 320 and above, ideally for a competitive application. If you don't have that, we generally recommend that you go ahead and take the SMU 80 exam so that you're able to show, make. I think it's more about making yourself competitive, right? If you see here also MIM program, you can see that marketing, technology, and a lot of other, it's really spread out, which makes sense because somebody coming from a MIM background, you are kind of like looking to pivot, figure out what you want to do, and then pivot into different areas, right? So you get that opportunity to do that. um, let's talk about applied finance today. I mean, I had an event and everybody was like all about applied finance, so we've been talking about it a lot. So I got some of the roles that people get into as well. If you are like hyper focused on finance, then this is definitely a program. So we have two programs that way. We have applied finance and quantitative finance. I'll talk a bit about both. um, I want to highlight the industry partnerships here. We're partnered with CFA as well as the CAIA, and the curriculum is really ideal for preparation if you do want to pursue your CFA or CIA designations as well. But when you actually do your CFA by yourself, it's a bit of a lonely journey. But here you get a more of a wholesome experience where you are learning different things, and at the same time you get an opportunity to also get into this, right? So I saw Arnav ask about CFA level 1, but that would probably, are you asking for MWM program, wealth management? We'll get to that. But for applied finance, you don't need work experience. CFA level 1 is good to have. You could mention that. So I think you're good to go either ways if you're aligning with the program. You just need to have an exam as well. Obviously, as I said, internships are a part of all of our programs, and then you can undertake internships in the field that you want to do, and you'll also be able to figure out whether a certain area of the program that you've taken, or what you thought was the area that you want to get into, is aligning with you or not. And obviously, the faculty are industry practitioners. Um, So, in terms of elective specialization, here's the fun part. So, you have three areas that you can actually specialize in. You have the fund management, you have fintech, you have real estate. So, for real estate, we are actually partnered with the Maple Tree as well. There's an additional funding opportunity that comes as an external funding opportunity for people who take this particular track. But for MAF, again, apart from the core modules, you also have like four electives that you would be taking. Like if you want to take it specialize in this fund management, you'll be taking four from that. Fintech, you'll be taking four from that, and real estate, you'll be taking you just have four in that, so you'll be taking that. So that's about MAF. And in terms of the cohort, as you can see, again, 75% international students, and 154 is our cohort, and 19 nationalities, and on average 1.8 years of work experience. You can see why. So there's a bit of a leaning towards people who are early professionals or fresh graduates as well. And with the age group also, you can actually see that. Um, let's talk about quantitative finance, and I will kind of like tell you about who what aligns with. You can see here, I think, faculty in terms of that there's experience coming in from people who are already practicing in the industry, so they bring in a wealth of not just expertise but a lot of advice and network. When you look at the finance as well as the MBA or the MIM programs and all of these programs for that matter, the faculty are people, are ones with really strong network and industry connect in that regard. One of the key features of the quantitative finance, and again, quantitative finance, when you actually look at the program itself, you're deep diving a little bit more into um, the programming and the quantitative aspects of finance. You'd see that you have two tracks here. One is the SMU track, where you would be doing all of your modules in Singapore itself, and the other one is you would be doing it as an international track, where after you complete your 5 core modules, you have the opportunity to study in the base business school for about 3.5 months, and you'll be covering the rest of the 4 core modules in this one, right? And then, of course, the remaining flows in the normal manner. So this is one of the I think appealing factor as well. If not the SMU track, you can also opt for the international track as well. In the international, when you actually look at the base business school track, you'll be looking at modules like, let's say, quant trading or advanced stochastic modeling and advanced simulations methods also, that that you'd be actually covering as well. So it kind of like gives you a sense of if you see the specializations as well, the kind of learning that you're getting is a little bit of a deeper mathematical dive into, it's more analytical in nature. So if you'll see financial data science, you're looking at quantitative trading strategies, you're looking at C++ for financial engineering, machine learning, and financial applications. So a bit of a programming is actually involved here. So it's more aligning with people who are looking for that kind of deep dive. If you're looking at an algorithmic trading, so you have again, quantitative trading strategies, portfolio management, market micro structure and algorithmic trading, and of course risk analytics as well is another aspect. So this is the way, if you see the MAF versus the MQF, it kind of varies. And I also have a bit of comparison between the kind of work also that people, or the roles that people actually get into as well, right? So again, the cohort, about 57% international student. You can see the cohort is very small, 109, 13 nationalities, and 2.52 years on an average. So if you're an engineering student also, this is something that's we see a lot of people kind of pivoting to this, because there's a lot of alignment with respect to the programming. And if you have that a combination of interest in finance and this, I think you might find it really interesting to move towards. A quick point with respect to the MAF and MQF, as well as rest of the programs that I'll talk about. Your applications, there's only one intake, which is the August intake. And the applications for the August intake range between September to May, just so that you are on board with that. Now, talking a bit about the comparison between, who should ideally look at, let's say, a master's in applied finance versus a master's in quantitative finance. It's really good for if you're looking at entering a finance industry without if you're not if you are a non-finance executive and you want to look at a career in or a change, then this will be, masters in applied finance will be quite ideal for you. So you would get a comprehensive view of the finance value chain, and of course expertise in financial analysis and investment strategies, as well as very broad aspects of the financial markets, right? When you're looking at quantitative finance, you are really looking at a deeper exploration of statistics and financial mathematics and computer science. And of course, you'd see stuff like pricing and hedging and your quantitative trading and investment. So this is how you need to actually kind of understand whether this is what you want to actually move to. And again, based on, let's say, the roles, just moving forward. So when you see masters in applied finance, you can see like derivatives trader, diversified assets analyst, brokerage analyst, compliance officer, middle office controller. So these are a couple of like ESG finance. These are the kind of roles that somebody going into a masters in applied finance actually looks at. When you look at a quantitative finance, you're looking at like FX options, product control, credit risk analyst. So you can see how the roles actually differ as well. So I think this is a very clear perspective as to kind of like understand what you might actually be leaning more towards. And in terms of masters in entrepreneurship, well, this is again one of my favorite programs as well. Uh, if you are actually looking at very clear, like you could be from family business, or you could be coming in from maybe you're starting on your own startup, or you have an idea and you are thinking about actually doing something, bringing your ideas to life. In this case, one of the core components of the program is your venture building exercise. You'll be guided by experienced mentors. These are successful entrepreneurs who have built and scaled companies themselves. You also have access to equity free prototyping funds and scholarship support. So you're not really alone in taking your first steps, right? This program also has a strong global exposure, which is through an overseas immersion with University College London, and again, another top ranked school. And then through our SMU's Business Innovations Generator, you'll also join a community and of founders, mentors, and investors. So you have a lot of opportunities to not just pitch and learn, but even tap into grants and resources that will really help you grow your venture. So whether, as I said, you're looking to starting off with an idea, or looking to scale, or even improve your family business and diversify, I think the MEI program really aligns in that regard. Okay. So moving ahead, we're at the last leg of me talking continuously. Um, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the venture building experience, because I feel this is such a less explored program. The moment you come in, if you're like hyper focused on the venture building part, like business aspect of it, you'd see that your venture building experience starts in term one. When while you cover your core modules and the core and the elective modules, you're going through your remaining portions. You're doing the venture building experiences across all of the terms. And that's one of the key advantages to have that kind of guidance and mentorship, and be able to really build your idea and kind of bring it to fruition. That's what this program really essentially helps you with. And that so it's a great alignment if you're really hyper focused on entrepreneurship. Now, we talked about the programs, and I can see like a bunch of questions. So I'm going to cover it faster so that we can take the questions, Shruti. I think this is a very important thing, the career opportunities. What I would like to say is we are very hands on with respect to our career services. Our for the students, there's personalized career advising and development, and we have a lot of career development series as well. But in terms of employers, I've already told you how integrated the industry is into our programs. There's a lot of corporate outreach and a lot of partnership. You would find for a lot of programs, we have external speakers contributing from the industry to enrich your experience and learning. And in terms of events, you have a lot of career fairs, career talks, networking events, And of course, as resources are on track, career assessment tool is also available. But at the end of the day, I just want to also mention that it's a two-way street. We equip you with everything that's really required to succeed. You also have to take that equal effort to make sure that you meet us midway and take the effort of, like, reaching out and taking the next steps as well. So it's not an impossible road for that matter. And in terms of requirements, of course, you need a bachelor's degree. You have to have a bachelor's degree. Your resume needs to get sent. Yes, even for freshers. Essays are there, two essays normally, but then you can look up what the essay requirement is for the individual programs. Admission test, I've already said we do need the admissions test across all of the programs, GMAT, GRE, or you can also take our SMUAT exam. And if you are if your undergraduate is in English medium, I think which most of our programs, like Indian universities are, you don't need to take an IELTS or a TOEFL test. So there's that. And all the programs do have an interview, right? And it's all about, like, how do you really contribute to the program that you're coming in, what your plans look like, your aspirations look like. So it's really to understand the program fit and alignment. So these are parts of what do you call, the admission process. So just to quickly note one more thing, your certified true copies of the CFA or ACCA certificate, you can send it across if you are applying for the MA or MQF for the Masters in Wealth Management program. And typically, our application cycle is like this. So you set in your online application, it goes for review. So that would be like 1.5 to 2 weeks. And once you have your interview to the admissions decision, about 1 week as well. And I've already, spoken a bit about the scholarships. Ours is a bond-free scholarship, no terms attached to it. If your profile is really aligning, then you get a chance to get a scholarship. It's it for the master's program that would range between, let's say, in 3 tiers of 5,000, 10,000, and 50 up to 15,000 SGD. Uh, so you For the academic excellence and global awareness, you don't have to submit a separate application. But leadership, impact on Asia, women in business, community impact, once you get an offer from us, then you will be able to apply to this, and you will have an additional essay that you need to actually write for getting the scholarships. So this is what the cost looks like. Obviously, the application fee is there, which is 100 SGD. SMUAT is a pretty affordable exam, I would say, which is like it's about 125 SGD, about 6,000, I guess. But you have only 4 attempts per cycle. And the registration fee is SGD 500. And for the master's program, as I mentioned, is SGD 59,950, which is inclusive of the tax, which is equivalent to about 41 lakhs. And for the MBA program, as I've already mentioned, 81,750 SGD. The remaining things remain the same, and it's about 55 lakhs if you look at the Indian amount. Sorry, this is okay. I don't think this slide was meant to be here. For the MWM program, it's like it's not waived actually for this one, but yeah, I think it's come off from another event. So for the MWM, I just want to tell the tuition fee is 74,120, but the rest of the things actually remain the same. Just so that you understand about the waivers. So normally for events and other things, for attendees of this event, definitely do get an application fee waiver. By the way, I was just about to actually mention that towards the end, but then it just came up on the screen anyways. So yes, it's 74,120 SGD, and again, still very affordable. Shruti, over to you.
Thank you so much, Sigma, and thank you for such a detailed discussion. We've actually not ventured into masters programs as such on such a detailed discussion on any platform. So very interesting. Thank you so much once again. And we have
Yeah, I know
questions.
we have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, there's a good lot of questions waiting for you. So I'll start with the first one. And
Mhm.
so, can career switchers benefit from SMU MBA, especially if they are from the engineering to, the finance kind of a switcher?
So I Yeah. I always say this, that I think the lesser known. I feel like we misunderstand MBA, because MBA is to help you pivot. If you really want to actually move from a particular industry. So, as I said, I mentioned this a little earlier as well. If you are a mid-career professional looking to accelerate your, career, or if you are somebody in a different industry, and then you want to equip yourself with leadership skills and strategic and management skills that you can use irrespective of the industry, and that's the mobility that MBA gives you, I would say, rather. So absolutely, I mean, that's what the program exists for, so that you would be able to kind of like pivot.
Right, and I think we did take this about some slides back. In case you would like to add something to this. We wanted to ask about what does the school look for if you're applying to the SMU Quantitative Finance Masters.
So, as I said, if you have any specific certifications, as I mentioned, the industry standards, do send that. But at the same time, we understand that you might be a fresh graduate, or you might be somebody in an early career professional. So even you might be coming from an engineering background. But I think the intent is really important, and you know you should have a clear idea about what the program entails, and what kind of industry. I've already kind of like detailed out the kind of roles that people actually get into after an MQA program. So you have to be a little bit aware of that, when you're sending out across your application as well, and probably come in with some of those, for instance, when you come from a engineering field also, like if you have that programming experience, I mean, that's obviously an added advantage, right? You have a bit of those foundations already.
Yes, and Seema, how difficult is the coursework? Can someone from a non-finance background really handle the finance masters?
So applied finance, like 100%, and even quantitative finance, yes, as long as they have an intent to learn it. Like as I said, when you look at MQF, it's definitely more rigorous, and I think you've seen the course modules itself. It's definitely a little bit more intense. So I wouldn't say that's for everybody. You have to be very clear that that's something that you want to get into, if you're getting into that. But otherwise, if you're clear with your agenda and goals, I don't think it's a challenge at all. Even if you're starting out and that's an industry you want to grow into and you have the skill for it.
Yeah. And there's another question from Ashu. Uh, Ashu says that, how much is the SMU MBA for someone with 2 years of work experience in import and export? So for someone who's targeting international business, should they look at the SMU MBA program?
So yeah, I mean, when you look at, again, when you say international, broader aspects of international business, uh us as general management, I mean, you're not going to, if you're like really strongly inclined towards a course which talks about specific aspects of the intellect. For instance, I know that there are like masters in international business and everything, but if you're looking at a broader aspect of the management and building your foundations in all of these aspects, then definitely MBA is. If you ask me, is it going to be beneficial? I mean, obviously, I'm going to tell you that it's beneficial, but I think the question is, there's a little bit more context I would need for this profile. Like what I would be telling you is very general, as to what you can accomplish and everything. Feel free to actually reach out to me and give me a little bit more context about what does your background actually look like. When you say import export, what has your role been in that import export, and like what have you undertaken, and what does your aspiration look like? Because international business is really broad. Do you What kind of area do you actually want to work in? What are your career aspirations post an MBA program? I think I would be able to give you a lot more clarity, which is more relevant to you, or I would just be giving a lot of general information right now if I say anything else.
Siva, we get a lot of questions around how competitive is the Singapore job market? Will I get a job after masters? So, when fresh graduates they're going in for the masters programs, how do they look at the
Mhm.
job prospects in Singapore?
So I would say it's competitive like any other market. It is a a smaller country, so the competitiveness is going to be there. But I also want to kind of highlight one thing. I feel like we limit ourselves when we actually look at one single place and say that, hey, you know what, I'm going to study here and this is where I'm going to get a job. When we are literally telling you that, we are opening up doors to the ASEAN market. Like, so to start with, I'm not saying that you can't find a job, but I'm just saying that there is a wider playground for you to really explore. And I think we teach you that, you have, we equip you with all the tools to kind of really explore in all of the places. Now, in terms of let's say in terms of career, students, once they complete their education, they have an opportunity to stay back in Singapore for a year, that is on the LTVP, and they can actually look at opportunities. It's it's not impossible. It is competitive, I would say, but it's not impossible for, as long as you come in with the right skill set and you made most of your program and you're able to actually do that, then it's quite possible for them. Now, I just want to also talk about, I already did mention about the career services. Our career services team is very hands on. If you actually go look up our Instagram page as SMU LKCSB, you'll also see the career fair that actually happened recently, right? Where the business schools actually come. I'm sorry, not business schools. The employers actually come on campus, and so you just have so many opportunities to help align. For more details as to how Singapore, let's say age versus the pay, and what it takes for you to get a employer pass, you can look at the Ministry of Manpower for the information. It's a very transparent organization. I mean, it's a very transparent country at that. All the processes are very straightforward.
Yeah. And I think last question for the day would be, let's say, somebody is considering an MBA versus a master's. What should be a framework that they should have in mind to be able to just navigate that part of choosing the right program?
I think this might seem very silly, but kind of like literally note down what do you want out of each thing, right? I think understanding what your aspirations are is the most important thing. I know it seems very broad. People want me to actually give a very definitive answer in terms of, hey, you know what, you should choose this. So I only ask one specific thing, like when you are looking at an MBA program, again, where are you at your journey, in your career journey, is a very important question. So if you have completed 2 years also, you can go for an MBA program. But I also know another candidate that I spoke to recently who had the same question. Very funnily, when I actually reverted to her with a reminder, I instead of like, she was interested in MIM program even though she had 2 years of work experience. But I sent in the MBA apply link. Okay, so she said that, hey, this sounds like a what do you call, a divine intervention. But it's like, what if I'm meant to apply for that? And then we had a call, and all I said there was like, hey, this is what MIM looks like, this is what MBA looks like. And then she was like, yeah, I think I'd kind of like stick to MIM because the course aligns to me more. What I want to get from the course aligns to me more. So if you're looking for something where you want to still explore stuff, you're not sure about stuff, and you want to kind of get an experiential learning and learn with a dynamic group, I think a MIM program, for that career launchpad, it makes a lot more sense. Understand the cohort that you'll be studying with for an MBA program is going to be slightly older. They're going to be really focused on, again, it's more about accelerating career and pivoting for in that perspective. And the course is also going to be structured that way. So it's important for them to go through both the programs and see what aligns best in that case. So it's at the end of the day, guys, even if it's, let's say, applied finance or quantitative finance or a wealth management program or a MBA program, it's about uh, understanding where do you see yourself going, right? If you are in, if you're interested in finance and you know that this is the area that you want to like hyper focus on, and that is there a chance that you will pivot, is there a chance that you might not like it? Then yeah, obviously, it doesn't make sense. But let's say you've been in that area for a good amount of time, you want to go deeper into it, you want to specialize, you're really, you're sure about it, then I would say go for the specialized programs. So it really boils down to your interest at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Seema, for taking out the time. You've had a very busy day, but really appreciate you taking out the time today to give us these
I'm very
insights.
happy to do this. Yeah, yeah. I just want to say that, guys, I'll follow with you guys, and also don't hesitate to reach out. We're traveling a bit, but at the same time, you can also book, schedule a call with me if you want to do one-on-one, or you can just mail me your resume and your career aspirations so that I can do an application, your pre-application assessment for you, so that you understand, how it fits within how the program fit actually looks like, right? So that you will have a fair sense of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Good night.
Thank you so much. Good